Thank you, Nicolette, for being here. I know that you, in part of your presentation, you're going to introduce yourself. So I just want to say that she's one of our national partners and from Botswana. So thank you, Nicolette, for being here. The Zoom is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome everyone to this talk. I'm very happy to be given this opportunity. I love speaking to entrepreneurs, especially those in the creative space. We don't often get the love that we deserve. I think that might be because we tend to focus more on our craft and not necessarily on more of the business side of things. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about how we can improve our craft in terms of brainstorming and creativity, especially around developing new products. So as Daniela said, I'm going to introduce myself. Basically, there are a bunch of things that I do. As like many creatives, I often jump around from so many different projects. I often say that I'm like a puppy, and you drop a whole bunch of colored balls in front of the puppy, and then it's like, okay, let me go for the blue one, okay, the yellow one, the pink one. So if there are any of you that are scatterbrained like this, then definitely you'll be able to relate to me. I am a business coach and a strategist, so I work with startups to develop the ideas and their concepts. I also do a lot of work around women's empowerment with the I'm Tomorrow project. I am a national partner for CBC. I'm a wine enthusiast, and I have written a small book on wine, and I am an author. I'm working on another project. So quickly moving on, I am going to ask you guys to post something in the chat. The thing is, what is your favorite color? If you could just start typing that in, I would appreciate that. And I would just have an eye on the chat to see what everyone is sharing. So I've got two screens. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I have two different screens. So just put in the chat, okay, green, yellow, green, blue, red, oh, purple, lovely, lovely, awesome. Black, ooh, who's that black? Oh, wow, wow. I love that. I love that. Pink. Pink is actually my favorite color. Growing up, I was such a tomboy, but I've kind of come out of the closet with my love for pink and like a lot of girly things. So we're just going to put a note on that. It is going to be pertinent later on in the boot camp. So I'm just going to start the session, and then we will get to why I asked you for your favorite color. So when we think of ideas, I guess all of us are here because we have a bright idea, right? So you had a good idea. I can imagine what all of you thought of, like what the experience was like the first time you said to somebody, okay, look, I'm going to start a business and I've got this crazy idea, and what they actually said back to you and what that conversation must have been like. And I'd like to congratulate all of you from actually getting past the idea phase, because so many people have ideas, and it's always one of those things that, a lot of ideas go to the grave with a lot of people. So if you've actually gotten to the stage of actually having a physical product or a service or something that you can offer the world from your idea, that is absolutely amazing. And congratulations to you, because you've gotten so much further than so many other people on this planet. There's so many people that get ideas, but not enough people do anything with it. So hopefully when you got this idea, it was probably because you noticed that there was a need. It was either a need that you had personally, or a need that maybe other people that you knew had. And then you're like, you know what, I think I have a solution for this particular problem. But then now that you've created this bright idea, it now exists. The question is, okay, how are you actually going to stand out in a crowded marketplace? One of the things I often say is that, there are so many ideas that get recycled. There's so many things that people try, and then they change, and then they try to upgrade, and then they try to do something different with them. But at the end of the day, what is it that really makes us as entrepreneurs, as creatives, what makes us stick out? We're basically living in an attention economy. And what that means is that the person who gets the most amount of attention is the person who is going to sell. And we are very fortunate that, within the past 10, 15 years, with the advent of social media and digital media, that the space has become a lot more democratized. So it's easier for people like you and me who may not have 100 million in funding or 100 million to throw at advertising, can actually put something up. It can go viral, and then we can have an opportunity to actually stick out. But the thing is, we need something that we can actually put out into the world that's actually interesting, that's actually different. So the next question is, where do these good ideas then come from? I know I'm talking to people that are creative right now, but I feel and I know with the Creative Business Cup that there are people that fall on the creativity spectrum in so many different ways. Sometimes we've had people that, come with the tech app, and something that maybe wouldn't be considered traditionally as a creative type of thing. I tend to find that sometimes, as creatives, we have our own little groups and cliques, and we're like, oh, that's not creative, that's technology, that's an app, But I'd like to discuss with you guys, seeing that obviously most of you are going to be from very, very wide various areas of the business spectrum. I want to talk about creativity and where ideas actually come from. There's a lot of talk. I think it's a more traditional perspective that creativity is something that you have to be born with. And for many people, this is something that they actually believe. They're like, well, I'm creative, so I guess, you have to be born with it. It's either you have it or you don't. And this is something I actually used to think until I actually studied creativity in university. And then I was like, oh, snap. Okay, so that's not actually true. And because of this, there's so many people who are actually creative, but because creativity has been defined, in terms of more traditional sectors like making things, painting, writing, these sort of things, there are a lot of people who do not feel like they have the creative leverage to actually stick out when they're running a business or when they're making something or just in their lives generally. So I'm going to discuss with you guys some of the different areas, the 7 areas of creativity, and hopefully you guys will be able to tell where you fall in, which areas you think apply to you. Definitely each and every single person that I have ever presented this to, no matter what background they had, no matter what education they had, have been able to say, okay, I fit into at least one of these. So you might find that you fit into multiple of these creative areas. That's fantastic. You might find that you just fit into one. That's also awesome. The key thing is discovering where your creative strengths lie, because once you discover where your creative strengths lie, then you can actually leverage those strengths. So everyone is basically creative. There's 7 different areas of creativity. I have them listed here, and I'm going to go through each and every single one separately apart from this list. So obviously there's idea creativity, material creativity, organizational creativity, relationship creativity, event creativity, inner creativity, and spontaneous creativity. So the one of the ones that I think a lot of us are very much accustomed to is the idea creativity. That is people like you and me who come up with big ideas and we're like, you know what if I could take this concept and bring it together and create something new? So this is coming up with new ideas, new concepts. This could be in making something that is physical. It could be in making something that is not tangible. So idea creativity. I'm sure most of you, or a large group of you who are actually attending this bootcamp, fall into one of those areas. The next area is in, material creativity, which is what we traditionally think of when we think of creativity. I want us to think, maybe a few hundred years ago, there was somebody in Galileo's time, or in Michelangelo's time, that was baking bread and making fantastic, gastronomical foods, and no one was considering that person creative, but everyone was like, oh my goodness, Michelangelo, he's so creative because he is making this, he is sculpting this, So a lot of the times when people traditionally think of creativity, they think of material creativity. People that use their hands to make stuff, people that sculpt, that write, that paint, that or just DIYers in general. The next one that we're going to be looking at is organizational creativity. Now, this is something that I wish I had, because I am terrible at this. I feel like I tend to just fall more into the traditional creative arts, in that a lot of people that I know, quite a few people that have organizational creativity, their workspaces, their just general living areas always just organized and neat, and they know where everything is. And, I mean, I basically live in a state of organized chaos. Whenever people come into my space, they're like, oh my God, like, how'd you find anything? And I'm like, I know it is. I have a general area of where it is. But there's some people who are very good at organizing things, organizing themselves. They have a very strong approach to structuring how things work and creating structures. The next one we're going to look at is relationship creativity. Now, the best way that I can describe this is I think we all know one person who has so many different types of friends. Like if all their friends got together in one room, there would be fights, because there would be quiet people, and then there would be dodgy people. And then there would be like people who are like political, and then there would be like people who are just pacifists. Now, some people have the ability of creating relationships and networking really, really well with other people. I remember I once had an instance where I was describing some of my friends to my mom, and my mom, she called me a tsotsi, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically a thief, like a hoodlum. She's like, how can you be such a tsotsi? How can you like get along with all these different types of people, but when they get together, they would not like each other? It would cause a problem. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just good at relating to people. So relationship creativity is a type of creativity. If you're a person who's very good at connecting people, networking with people, relating to different people across many spectrums, that is a very strong point. The next thing that we are going to be looking at is event creativity. There are people who are just good at coming up with events, with organizing functions. They bring together aspects of organizational creativity and also relationship creativity. They're able to keep track of many different facets that are involved in planning events. That means dealing with people, dealing with orders, dealing with plans, dealing with graphics. So this is a form of creativity as well. The next one that we're going to be looking at is inner creativity. Now, people that have inner creativity tend to be people who spend a lot of time thinking, and they understand themselves. I believe it comes initially from an innate understanding of oneself. These tend to be people that are very emotionally intelligent, and they take the time to study themselves and just take an interest in the human mind and how it actually works. A lot of these people are the people that we often go to for advice. If we have a particular situation that we're not sure how to tackle, these are the people who would sit down with, and they'll be like, you know what, this is actually the problem that you're having, and this is why you're having this problem. A lot of these people do end up in careers that have to do with mental health or studying things like philosophy. The next one that we have is spontaneous creativity. Now, these are people who can think on the fly. The example I always give of this is, I think we all know one person, especially like when we were in high school, where no matter what insult was thrown at that person, like they would just snap. And even if they weren't paying attention, they would snap and be able to shoot something back. This is the type of person who you can say, okay, I want you to talk about this, and they will instantly be able to come up with a good response with something that makes it seem as if they had planned this all along. So this is the last area of creativity that I am going to be touching. I'm just going to ask if anyone can just share in the chat what areas of creativity they believe that they fall into of these 7. So I'll just be checking for that. Don't be shy. We're all creatives, yeah? And then I can just take a look at that. Inner creativity, awesome. Oh, you'd like me to show them all again? Okay, that is Olga. Woo. Okay, let me go all the way to the back. There we go. Oh, okay, for you, this is maths. Creativity is one thing, not subdivided. Awesome. Okay, idea creativity, that is Sandra's. Thank you very much. Idea, inner, and spontaneous. Awesome. Okay, not organizational. Oh God, I can relate to that. Can definitely relate to that. Awesome. Thank you to everyone who actually shared that. So I am going to be moving on to the next section where we're actually going to be looking at, okay, now that we have looked at what the different areas of creativity are, now we're going to be looking at how creative thinking kind of is grouped. Mind you, there are lots of different schools on creative thought and how the creative thought process goes. So I'm just teaching you the simplest one that I have found that a lot of people can resonate with. So basically, there'll be two types of thinking around creative input, and that is that there'll be divergent thinking and there'll be convergent thinking. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the word divergent, basically divergence means different. So like lots of different things, ideas, right? And then eventually, after you have explored all those different ideas, you need to come back and then perhaps create your own idea using those concepts. And that's when convergent thinking actually happens. So looking at this whole idea around divergent thinking, convergent thinking, how it all works together, I am going to move on to the creative thinking process. It has about 6 steps in it, and then I'm going to explain where each of these two things falls in terms of divergence and convergent thinking. So basically, the creative process has 6 steps. The first step is when you become interested in something. This could be because someone mentioned something to you. This could be, you see something, but your interest is piqued. Perhaps you have noticed a problem that certain people have, and then you think, you know what, I should develop a product or service around this particular thing. So what would basically happen is you have the interest, something catches your mind, something catches your attention. The next thing that's going to happen is you're going to go into the preparation stage. So at this stage, what you're doing is you're basically doing research. You're reading up all the information that you can find about this particular thing, about this particular topic, around what has been done before and what could be done in the future. A very interesting thing that often happens during the preparation phase is that a lot of people don't really know that when they are doing this research, you reach a certain stage where you start getting a bit like, oh, I think I have enough information now, or you start getting a little bit frustrated, or you start getting a little bit like, I don't think maybe this idea is going to work out. Like, I'm wasting my time. I'm not coming up with a great idea. That is actually signaling that your brain has actually received enough information, enough cues, or enough content to actually start working in your subconscious to develop the idea that you're going to need. So the next stage is the incubation process. So what happens is usually you need to do a research, and then you find out what it is all about, what the particular options are, and then you need to leave it. So when you leave it in your subconscious, the brain starts incubating. So it starts collecting the various things that you have seen, that you have read, things that you've experienced, whether you were younger, whether you experienced them yesterday, and it starts coming up with an idea, a solution to what you have been researching. So that process is called incubation. And I think we've all had that experience of we're working on something, we can't find a solution, and then randomly a few days later or even 2 weeks later, suddenly the idea pops up in our head and it's like, aha, and it's like, why didn't I think of that? And the reason why we hadn't considered that is because the brain was still going through the incubation process. It was still figuring out what exactly it is that it wanted to do. So then that is obviously then the illumination part, when you get that aha moment. Now, after you've gotten that aha moment, that is when you then go into elaboration. So you now sit down, you're like, okay, now I think I have the idea. So I'm going to sit and I'm going to start planning around it. I'm going to start thinking, okay, how can I actually make this possible? What do I need to do? What do I need to get? What resources do I need? And then afterwards, you then move into obviously the exploitation or the execution of that concept. So this is just basically how the process occurs. So obviously the divergent part of it is when you obviously have the interest and you're doing the preparation, and then hopefully you're reading widely and researching widely. And then the convergence now happens when you enter into the incubation process and your brain is coming up with ideas, when you get the illumination happening, because all the things that you have read, that you've researched are now coming together to actually create one idea. And when you then elaborate on your plan and then execute or exploit. All right, so I'm going to give some examples, and I'm going to give some examples in the pet industry. And the reason I did that was I wanted to choose an industry which I was hoping no one is actually working in for this particular competition. And I tend to find that there quite a lot of innovations are actually happening in the pet industry. So I'm going to be talking about a few products that I found that are quite interesting. As you know, or I guess there's a cliche, it doesn't always follow for every single person. A dog is a man's best friend, sometimes it's a cat. And so it is actually $1 billion industry taking care of people's pets, providing accessories and providing products and services. So these are the examples that I have chosen to use, and I shall just be going through some of them to give a bit of an idea of what I mean by, if you research widely and you make different connections into different things, you can create different products. So on your left, there's a picture of doggles. Basically, they are goggles for pets. And I do believe that this was created by a man who used to take his dog with him when he was on his motorbike. And he realized that, while he had a helmet to protect his face and his eyes from the wind, his pet did not. And incidentally, when he created this as a consumer product, but eventually he got a contract with the US military, because for a lot of their canine units that operate in places like Iraq, like Afghanistan, where the weather is dry and there's a lot of sand and a lot of wind, they found that, this actually helped with their canine members of their units. The other invention, which is on the right, is it's sort of like a 3-in-1 device. Basically, what it does is it connects to your phone. So a lot of people experience a lot of guilt around leaving their pet at home the whole day while they're at work. So then someone thought, what if we could install this thing where you could talk to your dog, do a video call with your dog, and you could also dispense treats so that your dog would not feel as lonely. So that is, there's some people who do that, and I think it's kind of cute. But again, when you look at these two products, somebody's taking the idea of, okay, sunglasses, okay, dogs, let's put it together. How does that work? Okay, video calling, pets, giving your pet a treat while you're at work. And then, they've come up with something. Next, we're going to be looking at these two products. One is designed for cats. It's a feeder. People noticed that in a lot of homes where they had 2 cats, one cat would typically be more aggressive and then would eat the other cat's food. So what they did is they created a device that would only open the food plate according to the microchip which is installed in the cat. So the microchip would basically identify which cat it is and then allow that cat to eat, whereas if it's not, then it wouldn't. So microchip technology has been there for a very long time in terms of microchipping your pets in case your pets ever get lost. But now it's being utilized to identify your pets within the homes. That's, basically as a conflict resolution measure. And then on your right, there is an attachment which someone invented, which basically turns your water bottle into a water bowl for your dog, for people who do activities with their dogs, go hiking, go on walks, go on jogs, that sort of thing. Next, we have GoPro. So I think everyone knows about GoPro. They have been creating these amazing cameras that regular people like you and I, who maybe do not have a budget for this big fancy video machinery or equipment, could basically afford to also take videos of our experiences. And then there was somebody, I believe, who actually attached a GoPro to his dog because he wanted to know what his dog was doing when he wasn't, there. And based on that, they then created this harness and this camera, which is for your pets, because sometimes you want to know what your pet is up to. Sometimes there are mysteries that are taking place in your home because of your pet, and you don't know what is happening. I remember watching a video about one person who constantly was fighting, the whole family, they're fighting about the couch being moved. So every single day, and everyone was just denying that they moved the couch, and they actually had to set up a camera. And then they figured out that the dog was actually moving the couch so they could sleep on a particular area. And then on the right, we have someone who invented an app which actually tracks your pet's location. I think for the people that do have dogs, we know that, or any kind of pet, that one of the worst things that can possibly happen is that, your pet gets out of the house, out of the yard, and, and then you can't find your pet. So basically this app uses an attachment to your pet's collar to actually track it. It's a GPS attachment. So it actually sends you a notification when your pet has actually left the boundaries of your home, and will allow you to actually track your pet. So again, technologies that have been there for a while, but are now being used for other areas. Now over here, we have got two products that help a lot of cat owners deal with problem areas around kitty litter. So for those of you who've never had a cat, cats cannot poo on command like dogs. So they're going to do it at their own time, and no one's going to tell them where to do it. And a lot of the times they're going to do it in a place that has kitty litter. And then obviously now, once they have done their business, you will now be required to scoop up their waste and then bag it. So the product on the left is it's basically an automatic kitty litter thing, where your cat goes in, your cat does its business, and as soon as your cat goes out, it actually turns and basically filters the waste out into a different compartment and then puts the kitty litter back. So then this is not like a chore which you have to do every single day. It's not something that you have to worry about and say, oh my gosh, I hate moving out this kitty litter. And the product on the right completely wants to do away with kitty litter. It's basically a potty training program to teach a cat to use a human toilet by basically you put this contraption on your toilet seat, you cover it in litter, and then your cat gets used to now jumping onto the seat and using the contraption. And then as the weeks go, there's a hole in the middle that you're slowly expanding. They're like these compartments that you're breaking down. And then eventually, you take it away, and now the cat is just used to just using the toilet, and then you don't even have to bother with kitty litter. So a lot of products which are very, very like thinking in terms of product solving for issues that a lot of people have issues with, and a lot of things that pet owners have a lot of concerns around. Next, we've got shoes for dogs. A lot of people don't think about getting shoes for their dogs. A lot of conscientious pet owners know that it's been, people are trying to raise awareness about it, but it's not actually good for your pet to walk on the road, like on the tar, especially in extreme temperatures when it's hot and when it's cold. They often say, if you put your hand down on the road and it's too hot for you, it's too hot for your pet. So someone thought, what, I don't want my pet burning its feet. So I'm just not, I'm going to invent shoes for pets. The other thing solved a problem for somebody who I'm sure felt guilty because they did not have the time or energy to play with their pet. And because they did not have the time and energy to play with their pet, they invented this thing which basically your pet will play by itself. It basically grabs its ball, it drops it in the wider portion, and then the ball gets shot out of the smaller portion. So basically it plays fetch by itself. Again, a form of problem solving. And then the last two are basically a water fountain for your dog. You don't have to leave the water stagnant, or maybe the dog will upset the bowl and then you're not at home, and then the next thing your pet is suffering from heat stroke. And then the last one is similar to the cat one with the microchip, where this pet door only allows pets in and out of your home that belong to your home and is activated by a collar or by a microchip. So I think with all of these ideas, we can actually see how exactly this idea of, okay, what is the problem, what is the concern we have around our pets, what is the technology that is there, what can we build around that, and then creating simple things. A lot of these products actually really simple, like the attachment for the water bottle to turn it into a watering bowl for your pet. That is not something that is very complex, but people have created viable revenue streams because of thinking along those lines. So when you want to start developing creative products and services, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But the four key things that I want to talk about, and two, which I've already spoken about, is obviously identify what the problem is. Two, what is your creative area? I always advocate for people to create solutions that are attached to their strengths. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs try to create a product or a service that is not aligned to their strength, and then they wonder why they don't enjoy doing that thing. They also wonder why they lose interest or why they can't even sell that thing, because a lot of the times when you're trying to sell something to somebody, they can sense whether you actually believe in what you're selling. And if you are actually creating a product or a service that is not aligned with who you are as a person, your core strengths, your core creativity, then that will actually create a challenge. The other thing that you need to do is you need to take out time from your schedule to do meaningful work, and you also need to feed your brain. So when I talk about meaningful work, there are two types of work that I always talk to entrepreneurs about. I always say, there's meaningful work and then there's busy work. I think we all know what busy work is. It basically fills our days as entrepreneurs, responding to emails, calling clients, going to pick up supplies, delivering supplies. These are the things that keep us running helter skelter. Now, when I'm talking about meaningful work, I'm talking about things like brainstorming, strategizing, planning for the future, auditing your performance on a particular thing. So if you have a launch, if you have an event that you do, actually taking the time to sit afterwards and do a debrief and audit yourself and say, okay, what went right and what went wrong? What can I do to make sure that what went right keeps on going right, and what went wrong doesn't happen again? And also reflecting on your past mistakes, because I think one of the things that often happens to us as entrepreneurs is a lot of us do not have these big funding machines behind us. So therefore, we don't have big teams. So oftentimes we find ourselves multitasking within our own businesses. And we then never have time to actually sit and reflect, okay, what really went wrong and what mistake did I make and how do I not make that mistake again? Because we're just like, okay, I made this mistake. There's nothing I can do about it. And then we quickly move on. So I always advise entrepreneurs, find at least 30 minutes a week to focus on meaningful work, just 30 minutes a week, just to say, okay, what direction is my business going in? Is it the direction I wanted to go in? Okay, what idea did I have for my business? How can I start just, developing it, scribbling around it, creating a mind map? So always find at least 30 minutes a week for meaningful work. Now, when I'm talking about reading widely, this is just a video of like some of the books that are on my Goodreads list of books I want to read. Always try to read books that are from many different fields, from many genres. I always say, even before we had like access to a lot of resources online, one of the things I used to do was just go to a library, a physical library, and just walk through the shelves. It didn't necessarily need to be a shelf that I had a particular interest in, but I would always, or that I was like in working in that shelf, but I would like go to the architecture shelf and I'll just pick a book out and I'll just flip through it so that my mind could absorb some of those images and just see what all else is happening in the world. And aligned to that is also, watch a lot of videos. These are some of the videos that I've been watching on YouTube of late. As you can see, there are videos from so many different areas. It's crazy. I once had one of my employees actually pick up my iPad to use it, and they're like, "Wait, Nicolette, what are you watching on YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I watch a lot of stuff because it feeds my mind. It helps me when I am working with different types of entrepreneurs, because then usually I rarely meet or speak with an entrepreneur in a field in which I have never actually ever read up on or ever experienced. So if you don't have time to read, which is I know is a real thing, because I know sometimes I struggle to find time to read, then watch videos. I mean, they're there. The next thing is try to listen to podcasts. These are some of the podcasts that I've been listening to. Again, very random. But there's so much information out there. There's so many things that people are putting out there in terms of educating others about, what they're trying to do in their space. So this is another opportunity for you to really feed your brain and come up with different ideas and solutions. So you can also sign up for newsletters. This newsletter is one called Future Forward by Henry and Rohit. I get it about once a week, but I mean, some of the stuff I've read in there is absolutely phenomenal. I found this app that basically can give you a psychedelic experience essentially by using your camera flash. So if you don't have time to be scouring the internet for ideas and concepts, you can have that content delivered to you at least once a week. In summary, I think I'd say that all of us are capable of really creating some amazing things. But the thing is that, we need to feed our minds and we need to practice and we need to make time for creative work. A lot of the times, running a business for creatives, not exactly the most fun thing, because it's going to require us to do a lot of things maybe that we do not consider creative. If you're not an organizationally creative person, you might not consider going through your accounts creative. If you're not a person who's good at relationship creativity, you might not consider going to a networking event creative. So there are a lot of things that will often be required to do as business owners that have to be done, but at the same time, we still need to find the time to do some creative work. So we're going to do a brief creative exercise. We're going to do it for about 5 minutes. I'm just going to set my timer here. So I do believe everyone did say what their favorite color was at the beginning of the session. So you basically have 5 minutes exactly to think about how you can integrate your favorite color into a product or service that you are developing or have developed. And the timer starts now. I would just recommend that if you're doing this exercise, feel free to mute the audio so that as I am talking, I do not distract you from your thinking. Again, I know it is a bit of an intense exercise, 5 minutes to write as many ideas as possible. I think you can do it. All of you are creative. So let's see what you guys can come up with in, 4 minutes and 34 seconds. And so that I will not distract you guys, I will briefly turn off my video for the duration of this exercise. And then I will turn it back on when the exercise time has lapsed. Okay, everyone has 3 minutes left in this exercise. 2 minutes left. One minute left. Thirty seconds. And we have completed our time. So I'm just going to be reading some of what was shared in the comment section. Manel said, my color is blue. I think I'm lucky to direct and include my color in my product because I make cement tiles. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. No, I get what you mean. So basically you're integrating your favorite color into what you're producing, which is the cement tiles. Ishmael says my purple is regal. I'll incorporate purple themes into a comm strategy for awareness on girls who are victims of early marriage in the rural areas of Sierra Leone. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for writing that. That is amazing. The Purple Center would be a safe place for girls to report to anonymously. This is amazing that you came up with this off the top of your head. This is Madalena. Blue is one of the colors of our logo. It's also one of the main colors we use to communicate in our graphics. We use it because it communicates values like dream. Oh, I love that. Like sky is like dreaming, amazing, and gives a sense of stability. That is very true. Blue is traditionally a color that is often used in corporate logos because it does communicate stability. Then we have Nuno says, green means go. We can use green to signal to our users that their data is properly synced with third parties. I love that. And also because green means sustainability, and we can search for the most environmentally friendly blockchain to connect to our data. And then I have red Wingo deposit machines by collecting that, oh, the main color is red when you collect, and we could donate some money per bottle. Lovely. Our color, my color is ocean blue. We can incorporate it on many levels, but the most interesting thing is that ocean blue is never the same. That is very true. That is very, very true. And that depends on the conditions, weather, lightning conditions. So it means you could always adapt to users. I like that. So that's a bit of a change. Green, that is Matej, sustainable color. any part of the chair can be green, upholstery, metal, even wood. I love that. Green sunglasses for customers. I like that. I'm especially partial to olive green. I think it's a very lovely color. I always buy something in olive green if I can find it, and can also represent greenwashing, which is green packaging, but it's not sustainable, and making marketing material in a green color. That's amazing. Olga, yes, we have our previous coach coming in. We are making a label generator platform for small agro food producers. It will be black and white, mainly with color accents. Now it is black and yellow, but I'm sure it will be a graphic identity, communication, website, app, animations. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Juan says, orange, it means hope and power and energy. That is true. Oh, sorry, another Olga from Moldova. My bad. And yellow, that is Camille. Yellow is energy and happiness. She wants to incorporate yellow in accessories of their transparent mask to transmit positive vibes and help communicate positive emotions. And that is very true. A lot of the times, like all of you have actually shared, your colors are actually associated to how people feel. So I guess what I'm going to do quickly now is that I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that you guys might have for me. I'm a little bit over time, but yes, I will open up the floor for a Q&A. So any questions, you can drop them into the chat, or you can turn on your video and your microphone and you can ask me directly. So, okay, someone else has done a runner. Okay, that is fine. People are busy and it's also the end of the day. If there are no questions, then I can definitely release everyone. I remember what it was like when I used to go to school, and then it's in class, and then it's like, we need to go. Why is the teacher still talking? Okay, Salah Matu says, is it weird that your favorite colors are always changing? No, it's not. I feel like we live in a world in which we are kind of forced to believe that for you to be normal, you need to consistently be stable in terms of your taste and your likes, but those things can change. So that's fine. It is a mood thing. I've noticed of late that I dress in predominantly black. It's freaking my mom out, but I'm just like in that phase. I'm like, you know what? I don't have the energy to choose another color. Okay. From Olga, creative thinking, I think we should involve children. Definitely. Every child is creative until I feel like we are all given an opportunity to express our creativity as children. And then we get to a certain stage and then they're like, okay, no, so we're taking away your crayons. We're now giving you a ruler, and we're giving you a calculator. So, and I think that has a lot to do with the societies we live in and the values that they have. In some societies that value creativity, you know, children often said, you know, like explore, okay, you're making stuff, continue making it. But in a lot of societies where they value, I guess, more I would say more typical careers or career paths, they then try to divert people away from creativity, because I think we all know as creatives, a lot of the times we're trying to do something creative on the side, something interesting, and everyone's like, why are you wasting your time on that? You're going to be poor. That's not going to make you any money. So we definitely need to start including children in thinking about how to guide them on a creative path from childhood and onwards. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Piotr, for, I hope I pronounced your name properly. I'm guessing it's Russian. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it properly. Thank you for that compliment. Yes, we could make, they could be great and unexpected combinations of fields, definitely. And the best thing is to treat the inner child, the inner child inside you. I think for a lot of people, I'm working on a book, and this is one of the things that I talk about, is that, you know, the inner child goes through a lot of things when we're still children, you know, and a lot of us actually, the wounds that we develop around our experiences as children, whether we are nurtured or not, actually tend to align with the same issues and wounds we have as adults. So that's a very key pertinent point. Child mode, it's one of our moods when we have to create something unusual by combining different or usually uncombined things. Again, that depends on if as a child you were allowed to do these things, and explore in these ways and actually get into child mode. There are a lot of children who are from homes, like someone was sharing, where their experience as children is one of actually not a safe experience. They're actually taken advantage of and abused. So it depends. There's always like a bit of a give and take when it looks like that. I think some people, even adults, don't even want to think about their childhood because they didn't have a childhood. They were expected to be adults way too early. Okay, so Nuna's like, awesome, great. Oh, it's a Polish name. Not Russian. Oh, thank you. I did pronounce it right. I'm glad. Hi, Wen. Hi, Wendren. Talking about children, you have to dash. Please, I know, Wen, that you're a busy mom. That is our national winner from South Africa. Okay, guys, if there are no more questions, I am going to basically close the session. Daniela is going to be sending the slides to everyone. My email address is actually in there. So if you do want to reach out to me, please do feel free to reach out to me. I don't know if there's going to be something else or Daniela is going to want to give you a parting message for the day after I've wrapped up. But thank you very much. I know some of you have reached out to me on LinkedIn. Let's connect. And please feel free to just drop into my inbox at any point and ask me questions about the creative process. Thank you.